Hey everybody, I have here on me the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. So this is the international version of the Xiaomi Mi CC9. And this phone is special because it is the first phone on the market to use that 108 megapixel camera. Right here, 108 megapixel camera sensor. That's crazy. And the battery is 5,260 milliamp hour too. So this phone, it's gonna have insane battery life. So we'll do an unboxing. I have not opened this yet. I'm guessing Xiaomi must have opened it before. Oh, nice. This phone has a curved screen. Wow, this is the first Xiaomi phone with a curved screen since probably the Mi Note 2, which came out in 2017. But yeah, this phone's thicker than usual with that 5,260 milliamp hour battery, and there's still a little bit of a camera bump, probably because of that 108 megapixel sensor. Okay, so not much to unbox. We have a SIM ejector tool here and instructions and a case. Okay, so this is a soft jelly case. And we have here USB-C cable and a 30-watt charging brick. This will charge the phone from 0 to 100 in 1 hour, according to Xiaomi. So anyway, I'm gonna put the phone to the test and then I'll be back with my impressions. Alright guys, so I'm back. I've been using the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 for the past 4 or 5 days now, but this is not gonna be a full review because there's just so much to cover with this phone. So right now I'm just gonna focus on overall hardware and looking at the cameras because there's a hell lot to talk about, and just camera performance. So first I want to show you guys, this is the case that came with the packaging. It's pretty nice, but you're gonna want to use this phone naked because this is one of the more premium feeling phones Xiaomi has made in a while. Like I mentioned during the unboxing, the curved screen really adds to the premium factor of it because the panel blends seamlessly into the chassis so that it feels smoother in the hand. And when the screen is off, because it's an OLED panel, so it's completely black screen, it looks nice. It looks like one piece of dense solid, like a gem or something. I'm also a fan of the glass back that's this gunmetal dark gray. I like it a lot. I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of tired of the crazy gradient color that shimmers all over the place. This is pretty nice. It's understated, although it is a major fingerprint magnet. So I'll go over the cameras in a bit. Let's talk about the screen a little bit more. This is a 6.45 inch 1080p OLED panel. It looks great. Colors are accurate. Viewing angles is good. And max brightness is about 450 nits, which makes it bright enough for outdoor use even on a really sunny day. And I'm also a fan that when you go to minimal brightness, it actually gets really dim. So that means if I have to check this phone, say in a movie theater or in a bedroom at night, I'm not bothering the person next to me because it's not flashing a really bright light in my face. So this panel looks nice. There's an in-display fingerprint reader underneath, and do I even need to say it? It's fast, it's accurate, it's from Goodix. Now, the overall chassis feels pretty sturdy. This is aluminum. There is a headphone jack down the bottom with a USB-C charging port and a single bottom fine speaker grill. So unfortunately, this phone doesn't have stereo speakers. But other than that, and no wireless charging, there's not much to complain about the hardware. It feels very good in hand. Now let's look at this crazy row of cameras right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cameras on the back. Along with this, that makes this a phone with 6 cameras. I mean, talk about overkill, right? So interestingly, both the top 2 lenses are telephoto lenses. So the first is a 5 megapixel telephoto lens with a focal length of about 125 millimeters. So this allows 5 times lossless optical zoom and 10 times hybrid zoom that's almost lossless too. And then you have a secondary 12 megapixel telephoto lens. This one has a more standard 50 millimeter focal length. It's better for portraits, so you can also use this as a portrait lens basically. But this allows 2 times lossless optical zoom. And right here is the main event. This is the 108 megapixel camera sensor developed by Samsung in close collaboration with Xiaomi, but it is mostly used to shoot pixel binned 27 megapixel photo. And you have here a 20 megapixel wide angle sensor, and below it a 2 megapixel macro lens. Now I have to say right off the bat, the location of this wide angle sensor being this low it's a problem. This wide angle sensor being so low means that the finger is very easily get into the frame, like you see right here. Right now it's in the frame, so I find that the way to avoid that is I have to hold the phone a little bit lower, and when you hold the phone this low, obviously your grip is not as tight. Likewise, when you're trying to take pictures like this, when you go in a wide angle, I find that if I even move my finger a little bit out, it gets into the frame. But other than that, the rest of the camera lenses work as advertised. The 2x zoom looks great, 5x zoom looks great, 10x zoom looks pretty good. You can even do 50x digital zoom, that's respectable. It's not going to be as good as the Huawei P30 Pro or the Oppo Reno 10x zoom because they have that special periscope lens that this one doesn't have, but still. Now that 108 megapixel sensor, as I mentioned, by default it shoots in 27 megapixel mode, so that captures a pixel bin 27 megapixel image. This is the mode you should use most of the time, but if you have good lighting, let's say you're at the beach on a sunny day in California, you'll want to shoot with 108 megapixel, because with good lighting, you'll be able to get in so much details. So for example, this is an image I shot using the 108 megapixel mode. You notice that if you double tap, you can zoom in once, but you can double tap again to zoom in again. This is something you usually can't do on phones, to zoom in this much. And now you see, look at all the details of this giant tree trunk. Now if you move this photo to a computer, you can zoom in even more. So yesterday I basically loaded some of the 108 megapixel photos I captured with this phone, put it on my Dell monitor side by side with the same picture taken with the iPhone 11 Pro 12 megapixel shot, and you see that on the 108 megapixel sensor you can just crop in so much closer. If you do the same crop with the iPhone 11 Pro, you notice that the image starts looking very, very pixelated. So that's where the 108 megapixel sensor comes in handy. When you have great lighting, it allows you to get a lot more detail. You can take a picture that you can blow up to life size, or you can crop in all the way like you would do like a 20x zoom. Now there are downsides to a super high megapixel camera, because in general photography, the more megapixels you have on your camera sensor, the more light you need, because you need light information to light all the pixels. So a 108 megapixel camera has 108 million pixels, so that's a lot of light information you need. So even though the camera sensor on this sensor is relatively large at 1/1.3 inches, when you cover that over 108 million pixels, that ultimately translates to a micron pixel size of 0.8, which is still smaller than the micron pixel size of a Huawei Mate 30 or an iPhone 11 Pro. So if you try to shoot a low light photo with the 108 megapixel sensor, you're going to get very noisy, very blurry images. Even when you shoot in the default 27 megapixel mode, which uses pixel binning to improve lighting, I find that dynamic range struggles a little bit in general compared to the same photos taken by a Samsung Galaxy Fold or iPhone 11 Pro. So to me, the 108 megapixel sensor needs a little bit of work right now. It's great when you're outdoors with great lighting, but when you're using this at night, photos just turns out a little bit less than desirable. Now fortunately, Xiaomi has a pretty good night mode, so if you use the night mode, you can still get a pretty nice usable image. Now the wide angle camera is pretty good. There's not much barrel distortion other than the thing I mentioned earlier where my finger consistently gets into the way, and the macro camera works as advertised. You can get some really impressive close-up shots. But I do wonder, do we really need this many lenses at once? Because OnePlus, Oppo, and Huawei has already proven that they can put a macro sensor inside the wide-angle camera. So I don't know if we need a dedicated macro camera. And likewise, do we really need two telephoto zoom lenses, especially when the 108 megapixel camera can already pull in so much details that allows for a really good digital crop? Now, the zooming on this is pretty good, but it's not significantly better than the zoom on a OnePlus 7 Pro or Huawei Mate 30 Pro, and those phones don't have two telephoto zoom lenses. I'm happy to report that the video performance on the Xiaomi Mi Note 10 is really good. That shouldn't be a surprise because the Xiaomi Mi 9T had a really damn good video camera. The only shortcoming I can name right now is that you cannot switch camera mode once you begin recording. So once you begin recording, you're locked into this camera. You can't switch to a wide angle camera, for example, or a telephoto camera. That's annoying. But otherwise, stabilization on the 108 megapixel lens and the 5 megapixel telephoto lens are really damn good because they both have OIS, so you're getting really good stabilization during the day, and even at night stabilization is pretty good. Okay, so that's about it for this video, focusing on the hardware, particularly the camera of the Xiaomi Mi Note 10. There's still a lot to cover with this phone, including software. This phone runs MIUI 11, which is a new Xiaomi Chinese Android skin that deserves coverage, so I'll make a video on that later. But right now, after like 5 days of use, my impressions is that this is a very premium hardware. It looks great, it feels great, and a 108 megapixel camera is legit if you're taking photos during the day. So whether or not this camera is worth it for you to use depends on who you are. If you're an outdoor person who likes to go to the beach a lot, who hikes every weekend, you know, and you like to take a lot of stunning landscape shots of mountains and oceans and stuff, the 108 megapixel camera sensor here with good lighting, it's going to give you stunningly detailed images. But if you're someone who are not that outdoorsy, if you like to hang out at bars a lot and you take a lot of photos inside bars, inside clubs, then the low light performance in this camera needs a little bit of work. This phone sells for, I believe in Europe, starting at €549 for 6 gigs RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage. I think at this price, there are definitely better value out there from Realme and Oppo and OnePlus, but none of those phones offer a 108 megapixel camera. So this phone has a major selling point. Okay, so I better end the video here. I have a lot more to do. I'm gonna have a full review of this coming up in the next few days. If you're interested, please subscribe to my channel or follow me on Instagram.